Just doing the commercial.
It was consumed, but the consumer is
the
not
blue light is on and red light, yeah.
a culture which is top down, where the vocal cords of the millions have been lost. Digital technology is the opportunity for the revival.
Just everybody have a good time, okay? I'm nervous now. I don't know why I'm nervous.
Nervous to make you nervous. No.
Okay, it's gonna go in 3 and 2 and 1. Hey everybody, it's Around the Beach with Lisa Fox. Today is March 15th, 2012. Not such a nice day as if we had yesterday. I want to welcome my live studio audience. Hi, it sounds really good. Oh my gosh, everybody welcome. We have a really exciting show for you tonight. I have 2 great guests that we're going to get to in a little bit. But of course, I know that you're excited to hear about my week and my banter. But let's start with last week because I want to thank the Grand Marshal, Michael Pitcher, who joined us last week. He looks great on parade day. I don't know if anybody caught him. He looked like a real leprechaun. He came down Main Street looking good. He looks great.
He looks great.
Yeah, and the cone heads. I was up on the grandstand. I was actually able to do some announcing that day on the grandstand, and the cone heads came and attacked. They did the Occupy Wall Street. That was their whole theme. Did anybody go to the parade? Did you guys go?
Yes.
Occupy Main Street.
Occupy Main Street. Yeah. So they came and they took Dick Herzog off of the grandstand and they occupied him. They actually took him off and it was really funny. So it was a lot of fun to watch. And I love those cone heads.
Yeah.
You know, they've been around forever. And Spencer Fink, young Spencer Fink, is actually going to be doing a documentary on the cone heads.
No kidding.
Yeah. So we're going to keep a lookout for that. And I'm sure that you know a lot of them, Allyson, right? Yeah.
I remember.
Also, Margaret Johnson was on the show last week, and I had my dream come true. I actually did a cooking segment, which
That was great.
every wannabe talk show host wants to do their own cooking segment. So I got to make a tea brock with Margaret Johnson, and she is going to be at the West Hampton Beach Library on tomorrow, Friday, at 6:30, and reservations are required. So if you want to enjoy Margaret's wonderful cooking and her beautiful cookbook, Flavors of Ireland, I would definitely recommend it.
She's a pleasure.
It was great. I have to add Cassidy in here. Let me do that. So we have some great viewers. I can see that are already watching. So welcome, viewers. Let's see who's on. Yeah, got Cassidy watching. Okay, setting everybody up. Lots of news this week. There's so much going on in West Hampton. If you are an upcoming graduate of Remsenburg Speonk, you could be a hurricane or a shark. Hurricane meaning West Hampton Beach, or shark meaning ESM, Eastport South Manor. And the principal and superintendent of Remsenburg is really trying to open up the idea of Remsenburg graduates going to Eastport South Manor. And traditionally, most people do go to West Hampton, but there's a very huge disparity in tuition, so that could be a real boost.
It's great that they might have choices.
You need to have a choice.
Yeah.
And I think Eastport South Manor is coming out of. I remember when Eastport South Manor first got built, we went to look at it for school, right? And it wasn't. We were really looking for more of those AP classes, and now they've expanded that and clubs. So, you know, there could be a lot of kids ending up going to Eastport South Manor.
Programs are great too.
You were Remsenburg,
Remsenburg,
yeah. Could you imagine going to Eastport South Manor now? No. Your kids went to West Hampton, right?
Yeah,
They graduated from
kids,
West Hampton.
yes.
So imagine if they went to Eastport. That would be weird, right? Yeah. Because it's in your blood. Like it's something
Right.
that you
It's
automatically
the
just
unknown.
do.
It's the unknown.
Yeah, just to go. If you are heading into Hampton Bays this week, you got a little obscene greeting. Apparently, one of the construction signs was giving you the F you.
F you.
Yeah, they did it. They said,
Sing it, Lisa.
yeah, right. F you, F you. They had it. They said the bad obscenity on the construction sign.
On the blinking sign.
Now, who's responsible for that? Who types that
Point
in?
to that picture.
It was right over here.
Where?
Do you know, Jen? Because you were in development. Do you know how that works with like the signage that happens on the construction?
I know nothing about that.
Oh, Jay's sticking to his topic, and that's it. Okay, I gotcha. NBC executive Frank Comerford and part-time West Hampton Beach resident is going to be heading as the Grand Marshal of the 251st St. Patrick's Day Parade. That's pretty good.
Wow.
That's an interesting.
What do you mean, in the
What
city?
an honor.
Yes,
Oh.
New York City on the 17th, which is Saturday. I think parade time kicks off at 11 o'clock on 5th Avenue. And if anybody knows Frank Comerford, I would like to interview him. So if anybody out there knows him, put him in touch with me. I need to get in touch
That
with
would be
some.
great.
Yeah, I would think that would be
He
cool.
enjoys our summers out here.
Yeah, he was. Jay Sears was on the grandstand that, and he was shouting his name out. So he was in the audience somewhere. You know. Look at you, college kids over there.
You have a whole room full.
I
of
know.
them.
Got a lot of college kids.
Spring
here
break
tonight.
at Sim's house.
I know. I can't wait till
How
it's over.
pathetic.
Graduation day is back to Sunday, June 24th. Wah, wah. That's too bad, right?
There should have been a compromise.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody is aware of this, but the graduation day, there was a protest from the kids. They got together. They got 150 people to sign a petition asking that they change graduation time because they felt that heat wasn't a problem. Usually people who are on the field, you've been there,
They
it's
took
sweltering at times. People are melting.
They took
Ambulance
4
are
people
taking
by
people
ambulance.
away. And the Board of Ed agreed to change the time. And love the social media. Moms got on Facebook, went bananas last week. My Facebook was going off the hook. Facebook pages were being made, social, Twitter, everything. Come to the board meeting, and really one mom single-handedly was able to bring so many people to the board meeting, and they ended up changing the date.
I think it's a bad message, though, that the school taught the children, he who screams the loudest wins. There
I
was
don't
no
know.
compromise.
Well, I think that according to the paper, there was no actual adoption of this new change. It was not a formality that way,
Right.
so that left it open for
They
change.
should have just changed the time on Sunday, 2 hours back, 2 hours forward.
Well,
Maybe put a tent up for the older people
see
who are
what
watching.
happens. I think it's wide open. See what happens. Uh-oh. One of the petitioners is in the house tonight. Just keep it quiet. It's Restaurant Week. Starts Sunday, March 18th and ends on the 25th. It's a great time to go visit your local restaurants. Take advantage of the $24.95 price fix. There's many restaurants that are participating, and you can go online and check out Hampton's Restaurant. Google that, and you can get all of the restaurants in the area that are participating. Restaurant Week is always a big thing. It's a lot of fun. It's a good time to try out that restaurant that you've never been able to get to. I'm looking forward to participating in some of those. I want to go to the North Fork Table and Inn. That's one of the ones that I really want to go to. Has anybody been
Yes.
there?
Love it.
Yeah, and they have real local food, and they do
Very good.
organic. Really good? Okay, so that's terrific. That's a good referral. And is there anybody else that's going to participate in Restaurant Week?
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, everybody, right? I think why not? Should do it. Get you. Kate's like, no, I'm not gonna go. But she's got other things going on. If you're interested in chickens, it's Hatch a Chick Day at Agway in Riverhead.
So great.
I love chickens. I have chickens. I have 20-something chickens.
So
I get fresh eggs every day. I got a dozen today. How awesome is
Dozen.
that? A
That's
dozen.
And you gave me a dozen
And they're
yesterday.
beautiful. And I don't even have to color Easter eggs this year. They're so gorgeous. I love them. So you can go to Agway in Riverhead, and Dr. Mark Bridges of Cornell will be there to present a discussion on the basics of raising chickens in your backyard. I think that's it.
I think
And you
it's
can
great.
watch a chick hatch. Supposedly, you're going to be able to watch a chick hatch at Agway.
That's very interesting.
It starts at 10 o'clock till 3 p.m. at the Riverhead Agway on Osborne Avenue. So, anybody want to
How do you
check
take
that out?
care of your chickens in the winter?
The chickens in the winter really are pretty self-sufficient. You just have to provide some warmth, obviously, with a lamp, with a little bit more light. And they really just kind of all nestle together.
In the
And
house.
and
You have a coop?
we have a coop. It's not fancy, but we have a coop. Yeah, you have to because you have to protect them from the
Sure, of
predators.
You don't need a permit for that?
No, you don't need a permit for
license?
chickens.
No.
Mm-mm.
No,
Not the
state?
chickens.
Do you know that
Regulatory.
people in New York City can have chickens?
Oh.
Did you know that? I didn't-
No.
Yeah,
None
that
of
you
our
can
neighbors
have
in
them.
Manhattan have ever had any
That's
chickens.
funny.
That you know of.
On
That
Seinfeld?
we know
On
of.
Seinfeld someone did.
Roosters.
Watch out.
I worked on chicken farms.
You did.
Many
Yeah.
summers. My
Wow.
family, my extended family was in the
Did you chicken
chicken,
business?
well,
Yes.
in the egg business, actually.
Isn't it the best thing ever to have a fresh egg? There's nothing better. I love it. It's so yummy. 60 kids were inducted into the National Junior Honor Society at West Hampton Beach Middle School. I want to say congratulations to them. Well done. Good job. you're inducted into the National Junior Honor Society when you're in 8th grade. So that's great. It's a nice stepping stone. And now you're required as a graduate to accumulate 40 hours of community service. So that means that's part of your initiation into the Honor Society. And I think that's interesting that this school is actually making that a prerequisite to graduation, to have community service under your belt, that you have to give back. You have to learn how to pay it forward. Right?
Yes.
I mean, how important is that?
And it gets more kids involved.
And I think it helps in the college process, right?
It
Would
does.
you guys say that if you were involved in community service, it was more helpful in you getting into your college of choice?
Yep, I think that's what got me in.
Me too.
My grades were that good.
Yes.
Yeah. No, you guys are all good. You guys were good. Couple of things I want to mention to two special kids that were both past graduates of West Hampton. Ronan Seltridge joined the United States Army, and he is serving our country proudly. Yes.
Good luck.
Yes, good luck. And I know that his parents, Jen and Ed, are praying every day that he stays safe. And my friend Barbara and Tom Boyle, oh, I'm going to get teary-eyed, shipped their son off, TJ Boyle, to the Navy SEALs this past week. So.
Wow.
That was
Good stuff.
Good boys.
sentimental.
Good boys.
Yeah, they are good boys, and you just want to make sure that they stay safe. And they're living their dreams. This is something that they wanted to do since they're little boys.
Wow.
So I think that's amazing. TJ is actually in the Special Operations Division of the U.S. Navy Elite.
Wow.
And he has signed a 6-year commitment for air rescue swimming. That's big, right? I mean, that's a big deal. That's a lot of stamina.
Very brave.
11-year-old Sydney Sharon of West Hampton Beach has written a film adaptation of The Hunger Games. And her film is oh, look at Julian. His eyes just went buggy. He loves The Hunger Games. She wrote an adaptation of the film called The Games of Hunger, and her film is going to be at the Hampton Arts on Sunday? No, tomorrow at 4 o'clock. You can go watch it. And all the proceeds from that are going to be donated to St. Jude's. So here's another kid, 11-year-old kid,
Amazing.
that is putting it forward.
So
you know?
great.
It's amazing. So that's my local news. Anybody have anything else
Good
they want to
stuff going
share?
on. Good
Comments?
stuff.
I do have something. Oh, a couple of good things. All of the shows that I do for Around the Beach are now going to be available on YouTube. And if you go to Around the Beach with Lisa Fox, you can watch all of the shows that I've done in the past and the ones that we're obviously taping tonight. I am also blogging now for The Patch. So every Thursday you can look for my blog that will talk about the upcoming show and the guests that I'm having. And you can comment on that. You can also Facebook me at Around the Beach with Lisa Fox. And if you're my 150th like on Facebook, on my Facebook page, I'm going to give you a gift certificate to Hampton Coffee. So
That's
spread
great.
that around.
That's good.
Gotta get the word out.
Great.
And I'm also interested to know what you feel about egg creams. Does everybody like an egg cream?
Oh,
Who
gosh.
doesn't like an egg cream, right? A chocolate egg cream? Okay. Well, today I went out into
Do
the
the
neighborhood.
youngsters know what an egg cream is?
Do you guys know what an egg cream is? Okay.
Oh, we found someone who knows.
An egg cream is a fountain soda, and how you make an egg cream is you take seltzer, milk, and a chocolate syrup or a vanilla syrup. I happen to like a chocolate syrup. Do you mostly?
You
I
bet.
like the chocolate.
You bet.
Yeah,
Right.
chocolate.
The chocolate.
So today I went out into the neighborhood and I tested 3 different egg creams. First I went to Sydney's, and David is usually the guy I go to for my egg cream, but he wasn't there today. So Erin had to make my egg cream. And she knows how I feel about her egg cream. Not as good as David's. Then I went over to Eckhart's and I had them make me an egg cream. And then I went to Butterburger and I had them make me an egg cream. I took all 3 back and we tested them. And I have the results. I'm not going to share them with you right now.
At
We'll
work,
see
you
what
took them
happens.
back?
Yes, took them back to work. And I will tell you that Sydney's egg cream is $3.50 and it's really big. And if you want to see a picture on it, go to the Patch. I took pictures. Eckhart's Luncheonette, $4 egg cream. Not so much bang for your buck. And Dave's Bun & Burger had a $2.50 egg cream, but it's really, really chocolatey. I don't really like that much chocolate in it. I kind of like a mix. I like a happy medium between the seltzer, the milk, and the chocolate. You don't want it too sweet, right?
Right.
Picky.
Picky. But, you know, that's what it is. So there's a competition going on. I want to know what you guys think about the egg cream. So
We
think
already
about me.
understand what you think.
think about the egg cream. Okay. Right now I want to bring on my friend Tippy because everybody's always waiting to see what Tippy has to say about her tip of the day. Tippy.
Hey, Lee. How are you?
Good, welcome. Welcome
Nice
back
to
the
see
show.
you. This week I thought maybe we would talk about spring gardens because the weather's been so
Spring
great.
gardens.
And I think it's time for everybody to maybe
I do
start
my
their own
spring gardens.
to start their own
Yep.
vegetable garden
Yep.
because, like you said with the chickens, you know where your food's
Yeah.
coming from. And
Yes.
right now you can actually start. March is the month to start. You want to start turning your dirt, put your compost in.
You could use chicken.
Yeah. You know what?
Yeah,
It's
a lot
really
of
great though to have 2 compost piles because if you have one from last year, the seeds will be dead, and then you can start a new one for this year that you'll use next year.
Okay.
I think you should label everything because we all forget what we planted.
True.
And do your walkways in your garden. Put a ton of newspapers down underneath the mulch. It'll stop the weeds. And
Seriously, because
yeah.
weeding is huge.
You put so much newspaper down under the mulch and you won't have any weeds. There's a lot of vegetables you can actually start right now outside. There's a lot of hardy ones. You could start peas. You need to soak them overnight though because the casing is a little tough. You can start cabbage, lettuce. Lettuce, a great tip on that is do a few seeds each week.
Wow.
This way you don't have it all at once.
Okay.
You can also start artichokes and
I'm
asparagus.
going to start my edamame soon. I love it.
Yeah. Have a cold frame so that if you do have a frost night, you can just throw it over really quick. Inside, you should start your tender stuff like tomatoes and eggplant and peppers. And then I would use water-soluble fertilizer because everything's a little tender. If you put the granules down, you might burn things.
I like the idea of the newspaper under the mulch.
Yeah, it
because
works
that's-
really great. I've done it
I
for
hate weeding.
years. That's an old-timer's trick. My mother-in-law taught me that. And you know, you save all these newspapers for burning fires in the winter, and then
Yeah.
you want to get rid of them.
Put them
But
under the
it
mulch.
works really great.
Good to know, 'cause I can't
Yeah.
stand weeding. I hate
No,
it.
it's terrible. And then, as you know, because your husband had a great garden last
Yeah.
year, but we have some sneaky little devils in the neighborhood who come and
The
eat our...
moles, the voles.
Yeah, and the deer.
And the deer.
So try to put some sort of netting up. And I have a recipe for you that the deer, you can spray it on the vegetables, and it's
okay.
Yeah, and it'll keep the deer from eating. I have to look at my notes though because I don't have it memorized.
Okay, that's okay. Tip.
It's a half a cup of milk,
okay.
2 large tablespoons of mustard, 2 teaspoons of dish soap.
Mustard like Dijon
Yes,
mustard?
sure.
Okay.
The spicier
Okay.
the better.
Okay.
And then put 5 eggs in there. Put it in the blender and then put it in a spray bottle. And spray it right on your vegetables. And you can do that like maybe for the first couple weeks, do it twice a week. So they, if it rains or the dew washes it off, they'll get used to it. And then you can do it weekly, and then you can do it bi-weekly. Yeah, and they'll get used to it. And
you're not going to have that smell like liquid fence.
Yeah, that's very harsh. So this is, I mean, the eggs might smell a little, but it's worth it because you know what kind of damage the deer can do.
Vinegar and water also work.
Yeah.
I spray vinegar and water on mine.
So
that's great too for
yeah.
getting rid of like stuff in between the brick
Right,
papers.
That's
right.
It's great for weeds too. Just vinegar and water.
Thank you,
So
man. Is good.
yeah, I think it's really great. It's going to save you a lot of money to, and you can share with your friends.
Yeah.
You know, friends grow something and then you grow something else. Everybody can share and know that you're getting clean,
I'm looking forward to
clean
having a
vegetables.
garden again this year.
Because I know you're sharing your eggs with all of
I've
us. and
shared
it's
the
been
egg.
great.
I'll share whatever.
It's been
But
great.
you know, that lettuce tip is terrific because I wouldn't have thought of that. Don't plant it all at once.
Yeah, the
And
lettuce.
That's really smart
Yeah.
because you're not going to use 12
you
eggs.
do a few seeds each
Great
week,
idea.
and then you'll have fresh lettuce all through. So yeah.
And I think in the future, Tippy and I are going to be working on a thrift store project.
Oh, I'm so excited about
we have
that.
to work it up, but we're going
Because
to
I
come up
found
with
a
stuff like
few
that.
stores that are really great, and I've actually gotten some good deals
Yeah.
already. We'll share those deals.
One of the viewers texted me today and said that she thinks that we should do a little thrift. It's called Thrift Store Finds with BFFs.
It's just
We'll do
great. Yeah, it's
We're
fun.
not. I think it's it's going to be fun.
Fun.
I love a thrift store.
I think it's great. I think it's great.
Save money.
A lot of money, and a lot of times people get rid of things that are brand new.
And we've got to say hi to Uncle Ray.
Hi, Uncle Ray. Hi, Aunt Marge.
How are you guys?
Hope
And
you're
Nanny's
feeling
down
okay.
there visiting too.
Hey, Nanny.
Hey guys,
How are
how's
you,
everything?
Lynn?
Hope you had a safe flight, Mom.
Send
Michelle
love.
misses you. I love you.
Love you.
We put the
Okay.
personal
I'll
touch
see you
on there.
next week.
Hey, Tippy.
Okay.
Tippy. Everybody likes Tippy stuff. It's great. Okay, now, gotta introduce my first guest. Jay Kopf is a developer who you've probably seen in the paper recently, and he is developing what is going to be called Speonk Commons, but it's the dilapidated building that's located on the left side if you're heading north on North Phillips Avenue.
west side.
The north, the west side, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The west side. And I think it's going to be, look, anything that somebody does there is going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
But Jay's going to come on the show with me right now, and he's going to talk about his project, and I'm going to have him join me right here.
That's what I was waiting to find out.
Come sit here. And you're going to look right into the camera up there, Jay. Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks so much.
It's a pleasure
Yeah.
to have you on. It's been nice meeting you and talking with you and having you share your passion for this project. So I want you to take the time and let people know what's happening over here.
Okay. So Speonk Commons, as I've called it, is adjacent to the Speonk Railroad Station. And it is I would call it, it's an eyesore, to be quite frank. It has 8 or 9 abandoned, boarded up buildings. And I used to go to work passing this lot and couldn't figure out why it was undeveloped. And the answer to that question is real simple. It's that the zoning for that property is no longer appropriate. The front half of that property is zoned village business, and that means that commercial uses can apply. And ever since those people that know the other side of Montauk Highway and South Phillips, there's a shopping center that went in 5 or 6 years
Right.
ago. And so the way planners term it, all of the so-called hamlet services are now fulfilled by virtue of that shopping center.
Because what that means is that the occupants of that common area are the businesses itself. Is that what you're saying makes that fulfills the needs of the hamlet? Or
The stores that are in that shopping center
okay.
fulfill the needs of the local area.
Okay,
Restaurants,
the restaurant.
insurance,
I see.
a deli.
I see what you mean.
Everybody needs a Chinese food takeout place.
Right,
Everybody needs a
right.
pizza
Pizza
place.
place, a
Yeah,
little
the
shop.
important
Right.
stuff you need.
Right.
So with that shopping center in place, there's no longer a use that would fill that the front part of that property.
Mm-hmm.
The back part of that property is zoned residential, and you can imagine on a main thoroughfare having a single-family home adjacent to not only the parking lot of the railroad station, but also, am I not in the?
Come there.
am
No,
I
you
not
need
in-
to be a little
I get
closer.
to
That's
you.
better.
This is what I wanted.
That's
to
better.
I was waiting for some of the time. In any event, so the property is dilapidated, and to me it was bizarre that it was left in that condition for so long. It took me to come along and say, hey, wanted to do some investigation as to why that was the case. So I actually went to the town assessor's office and tracked down who the owner was, and made a deal with him so as to develop it. Simultaneously, the Southampton Housing Authority expressed an interest in having that site be used for affordable housing. Sometimes the term affordable housing is not well understood. Some people have negative connotations.
What does that mean exactly?
What affordable housing is. Affordable housing is where a government authority, like the county, not the town, will subsidize the development of that site. That is to say, they may contribute a certain number of dollars for every housing unit that you'll put on that site, so that you can pay for the infrastructure, the roads that you have to put in, the sewer
Water,
treatment
sewers,
plant.
right, septic system, things like that.
Right. So by virtue of the county making a contribution and lowering the cost for the developer to be able to create that housing, that lowered cost gets passed on, so to speak, to those people that either might buy a house or an apartment that's on that site, or rent. So, and there's a whole complicated schedule of incomes, but we're not going to get into
Right, because I
that.
think
Affordable housing is being able to produce housing at a lower cost,
Okay.
and then the question becomes who gets to use it.
Okay. So what are your, okay, by the way too, anyone that is watching or was informed about the show tonight was presented with an email that Jay sent to me, and I sent it out to my viewers. And in that email were also attachments of drawings and renditions of what your vision is for Speonk Commons. So if you have a chance to take a look at that, please do. But what is, if you can even explain to everybody what your vision is for Speonk Commons.
Good. So the site is 4.5 acres, give or take. And one of the things that a developer needs to provide is a so-called community benefit. We're looking to change the zoning. And in exchange for that zoning change, the town would like to see, and the community members would like to see, what benefit does the town get out of doing this? So after spending quite a bit of time of meeting with the town community association, the CAC, meeting with the neighbors, meeting with the local merchants, speaking to some veteran organizations, you generally, you're able to coalesce a plan that you try to serve those interests that all those different groups have expressed. For example, the neighbors may not want to see they want their privacy.
Right.
It's a vacant site. There are people who now will feel intruded upon. So one of the things that I've recently incorporated into the plan is that we can have actually more than an acre of what normally is called open preserved land that will separate the neighbors, or at least the back neighbors, from our site. And the next little community advantage that I thought the community would like was on the front piece of this property. Rather than having a commercial building within 10 feet of the street, and by the way, that same zoning, that village business zoning, permits a commercial building that's not only set back only 10 feet, but it's also permitted to be 35 foot high.
Okay.
So imagine a 35 foot high, for those of us that know North Phillips.
There's no pyramid law in that respect?
Not with village business.
Okay.
Does apply to
residential. Okay.
Right. So you can imagine a 35 foot building, for those of us that know what North Phillips looks like, it's completely out of character. It's
Right.
just not architecturally in context with
what you're seeing.
So what we decided to do is to propose to take whatever building we're going to put there, let's push it back 100 feet.
Because you have a lot of acreage.
Right.
We do have a good amount of land. So by pushing it back 100 feet, let's create a village green.
Oh, that must be
Like
well
a park.
received, right? Have a lot of people been thinking that's a great thing?
You know, I'm sorry to say that people focus on what they don't like.
Okay, so we're not
So
going to
we're-
focus on them.
Well, we're going to talk about the things, there are pros and cons to
Yeah.
any plan.
I mean, I think the idea of having a village green in Speonk is a wonderful idea.
Well, when you think about the candle lighting ceremonies that they have in West Hampton, the arts and fair type exhibitions,
Sure.
the concerts we have in the summer in West Hampton, in Southampton.
Yeah.
You
It
know,
brings
so-
a community together. It's a place to bring a community together.
You know, I sometimes think that people think that Speonk is
The forgotten place.
not, you said forgotten, I like to call it the poor cousin. You know, when you see,
I like to call it North Remsenburg.
well,
That's my little joke.
one day, when
I like
Speonk
to call
Commons
it
is a
home.
reality, and it's a great success. I'm going to hope that people in Remsenburg are going to say, I want to be called South Speonk. So we're working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so we have the village green in the front.
I think that's correct.
We've got a piece of over an acre preserved in the back. And the one thing that really makes this site most noteworthy is the fact that it's adjacent to the railroad station.
Yes.
And the reason that's important is that there's a whole category of affordable housing that's called workforce housing. And workforce housing simply means it's meant for people that go to work. Their incomes need to be somewhat under like $100,000. So you're not dealing with very low
You're
income.
talking about a college student. It could be
You're talking about
an
teachers.
entry-level job person. You're not talking about somebody that necessarily is not making. It has to be a responsible person, accountable.
You know, I'm so glad you mentioned something that some people starting out, you know, because think about those adults in the audience and listening
Yes.
that have children that are growing up, go to high school, go to college. What happens when
come
they
home.
they come home?
They go in your basement.
Adult children should not live with their parents.
Well, in fortunate or unfortunate, it's very difficult to find
Yes.
a place where youngsters, young people can find to live in this town. It's just a very expensive town.
Yeah.
They have to share.
Right, housing.
Yes. Yes. So I think that's great. So if staying on that thread.
So workforce housing is in fact the main thrust of what I'm planning on creating these housing units for. In order to get the biggest bang for your buck out of the county money, there are people that you want to make your housing available to, namely seniors, vets.
These are the guidelines that you have to, on the auspices that you have to follow in order to get the approvals that you need.
There are demographics that the county, that we've established, our society, a social policy, that we want to serve these people.
Right.
There's a list, an arm's length
I
long.
have a question for you, if you
Oh,
don't
good.
mind.
Let's hear it.
Would this housing be limited to only people who went to school or grew up in the area? And would that be a requirement? Thank you, Patty from West Hampton.
The light's a little dim. I
Okay,
don't know
but
if they
you're
need
good.
anything. Okay,
You're
good.
okay.
Just making sure we're working technically all right. That happens to be a great question
It's a good
because it focuses on what we're trying to accomplish here. Seniors will have the right to occupy these units. Usually seniors mean people older than 65, and very often it's those people that are living on Social Security and limited income. So when those people apply, they will have a priority. So the answer to that is yes. However, the main thrust of this is workforce housing. Time and time again, as affordable housing projects come online, in order to determine who gets the privilege to live there, it's actually determined by lottery because the number of people that want to occupy those homes are far in excess to the supply that exists. So you actually, there's a lottery, and they're done professionally by those people that have done it before. And did that answer? Did that?
I think,
Yeah.
I mean,
did that follow
I
up?
think
So
that's
it's not
like the
it's not
West Hampton
exclusively for
residents.
seniors. I'm sorry.
She asked if it was only
West
for West
Hampton
Hampton
people.
residents.
the question was, just so that if you want me, would this house be limited only to people who went to or grew up in the area? Meaning Speonk, I think she means.
Oh, okay.
Let me say that. That's precisely what how we market it,
Okay.
so to speak. That it's directed at people who work locally.
Right.
We've heard for years in the local papers about the subway. You know, people are on the roads here coming to work from down island,
Right.
and the roads are crowded. The traffic is intense trying to get out to Southampton on a Monday morning. This is to address that concern so that people that live here have housing options.
Right.
And people that work here don't have to travel so many miles to get to
Okay.
work. They
All right.
work locally. I want to just point
Yeah,
something
sure.
out. So the fact that we're adjacent to the railroad station, which is how we got onto the question of who this is directed at workforce, is that people can use public transportation.
Okay.
We can get people off the roads.
Right.
And they can, and the fact
Because
that
there's a bus, there's also a bus pickup on the corner of Montauk Highway and North Phillips. It's across the street too on the other side. There's one right there, both sides. And also the MTA.
you took the words right out of my mouth. Right, it's the bus stop. When you think of all of the transportation hubs, I'll call them, in the town of Southampton, the various stops, here we have a bus stop adjacent to a regional rail means of transportation, and on the main artery, the main vehicular artery, North Phillips, which is the main road that people come in and out of Speonk and Remsenburg to go north to Riverhead.
Right.
So its location is really key.
College is up the road.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so just to move it forward, because we don't have a lot more time left, and I want to make sure that you get all your points across.
And I can come back again.
Absolutely.
Okay, just making
course.
sure.
You're a welcome
Anytime.
guest
Just
anytime,
making
because there's
sure.
also a love story involved here.
A
that
love
we want
story.
to talk about.
Ah, that's for
another
next
story,
week.
though.
That's another
But
story.
how many units do you foresee in your plan?
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because all the things that I've been mentioning so far, they seem to be like a very self-serving, although all that stuff sounds wonderful. But the other question that people are always concerned about is the density. How many apartments, because these are going to be apartments, they're not single-family homes. There's a whole school of thought that's called smart growth planning. Smart growth, one of the principles of smart growth, I should say, is where you have a transportation hub, that's where you want, by design, to have compact housing. In other words, that's where you want greater density. You don't, so therefore, with that in mind, the magic number that I've arrived at is 68 one-bedroom apartments.
Okay.
And it's very good reason I picked that number, and that is because it actually is in keeping with the density that's directly across the street. Hampton Villas.
Okay, so if we're talking about the area that Jay is speaking of, right behind where Scales and Tails is, or on the
Across from the
across from
Commons.
the firm is the Hampton Villas.
Right.
Okay. Which are
And-
condominiums.
Which are condominiums, also directly up against the railroad
Yes.
freight area, actually, the depot area, I should say, and they've got 67 units on that piece of property.
Okay.
And by coincidence, it's the same size property as we have at Speonk
Oh,
Commons.
interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
so if someone were to say, oh, well, that's too dense, well, it's a matter of opinion.
Okay.
And so we've used the condominium unit density as our guide,
Okay.
not to exceed.
Okay.
There was another part of your question.
No, that was part of it, but I have another question too.
Oh, I'm sorry, I do have to say something else.
yes, please.
Because I mentioned that we're looking at doing this in one bedrooms.
Right.
Why is that? Because there's a very large concern that the Speonk-Remsenburg school system is bursting at the seams.
Okay, let me ask you that. That's really that was the question. Is that Remsenburg Speonk
I don't
School
believe it.
District, or is that Eastport?
That's a great question, and I'm glad you emphasized it, because it is Remsenburg
It
Speonk.
is Remsenburg Speonk.
Right. And
For sure, you know this.
I do know that for sure.
Okay.
And I can
Call
tell you,
Debbie Martell.
She'll know.
and I can tell you, contiguous, adjacent to our property, the neighbors are not in the same
Oh,
district.
that's
Right.
so.
The
isn't that
neighbors are in
interesting?
Eastport.
Did you find that interesting when you were doing this?
Well, you know, when you look at the map and
Yeah.
you see the squiggles and
Isn't
the
it
ins and
fascinating?
outs, so you know there's been a lot of prior
I'll tell
dealing.
you about that story another time. But
Another
that's a
time,
good story.
yeah. But that we are in the Speonk-Remsenburg, and that's why we're very concerned about not burdening the school system with kids, and that's why they're one bedrooms.
Can you put I guess you can if you're looking to eventually afford housing to young individuals, an age on it, like as if you would a Pulte home over there where it's 55 and over and you can't have a child and blah, blah, blah. And there's no covenants like that you're looking for.
There are residency restrictions.
Okay.
Your income limits or eligibility are based upon the number of people in the household. So
Okay.
there's a whole schedule of what your income can be if you're a single person household,
Okay.
a nurse or a teacher, so to speak, single,
All right.
or a two-person household.
Okay.
So but they are 1 bedrooms, so
All right.
with there.
You got 1 more minute. I'm sorry. I have to.
Well, I've
I
run
don't
out of
want-
anything more to
I
say.
don't- But I want you to be able to tell everybody where they can contact you.
Ah,
Do you have a website? Do you have an email address? I don't want you giving out your personal phone number, but if there's anything if there's a question or if somebody wants to invite you to a community meeting, how can they reach you?
well, the first place is, being that your audience knows you very well.
Yes, they can always reach out to me,
Absolutely.
and I'll be happy
You're
to.
now my new point of contact.
Yes, I could.
However, I'm going to also spell my name because my name is part of my email address.
Okay.
And it's JayKop as in Peter, F as in Frank, at the letters JMKCG.com.
Okay, and I'm going to put that on my Facebook.
Wonderful.
And I'll send it out in the email. What is just quickly, is there
Sure.
a time that you think this project's going to happen, or you have a lot more to do before you even can guess at that?
You're chock full of good questions. Because I've just spent, just give
That's
or
my
take,
job.
more than a year doing my homework.
Okay.
Meeting the community members, talking to the CAC,
Yeah.
meeting the merchants. In any event, I'm looking for the next 30 to 60 days to be making my first, let's call it pre-application
Okay.
to
Exciting.
the town. There are a number of town board, well, actually, I should say every town board member is thoroughly familiar with the project. I've
Okay.
met with each of them,
Great.
those that lost the election recently and the new ones that won the election.
Okay.
And so they're all familiar with the project, and they know that I'm taking my time. And as I said, next 30 to 60
So
days.
slow and steady
Yep.
is what
Wins the
we're
race.
going-
Right,
Slow and
we
steady
hope.
wins the race. And I'm going to put Jay's information up on my Facebook page. You can also Twitter me, tweet me at LFoxPro if you have any questions. If you know me personally, you're more than welcome to contact me through my personal, phone number. But I'm happy to get any information out. And Jay definitely will come back again, and we'll.
I've only begun to talk.
Yay!
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to you so much.
You were terrific.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. All right, okay, lip gloss time. I have to freshen up my lip gloss. Okay. Because I got ladies coming to sit next to me. I'm actually probably going to go over here, and you guys are going to talk this way so that I can sort of interview you in a different respect. Oh, also, it's my time to plug my business. Fox Land Surveying, 64 Sunset Avenue, West Hampton Beach. If you need a survey, give us a call, 631-288-0022. Okay, that is said about that.
The best.
What kind of survey are you talking about?
We're talking about boundary surveys, elevation certificates, title surveys, site plans.
Very good.
That's what it is. All right.
That's it. Okay. So my next 2 guests are really amazing women. One of them I know for seems like a lifetime, and her name is Allyson Scerri, and she is also with Kate. Last name? Oh my gosh,
DeMeglio.
DeMeglio. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Both of them are founders of New Beginnings, which is a traumatic brain injury outpatient rehabilitation facility located in Medford. And I'm going to have them come join me over here, and they're going to tell you about their fantastic endeavor. How something, I'm going to go, you guys sit here, and then I'm going to go over here. So we're going to thank the ladies for joining me tonight. Welcome to my show.
Thank you.
I don't want you to talk over here, even though I'm talking to you.
Thank you.
I want you to kind of fill everybody in on what New Beginnings is and how each of you came to found New Beginnings and how you found each other.
Okay, well, New Beginnings is an outpatient rehabilitation center for traumatic brain injury survivors and all others with physical and cognitive disabilities. I met Allyson on about 5 years ago. About 13 years ago, my son Robert, on his 21st birthday, went out with his friends and was in a horrific car accident, which left him with a spinal cord injury, a brainstem injury, and a traumatic brain injury. He was in a vegetative state for almost a year, in and out of rehabs for almost a year, then in a nursing facility because of his compromised situation. I wasn't able to care for him for the first 2 years. And then I took him home, and then gradually he was left blind, he couldn't speak, he couldn't move, but then gradually I found people that did help me through, it was a long journey, and helped me with my son, and 2 years ago, he just started speaking for the first time, and that was
Wow.
11 years
Oh,
ago.
Do you
Wow.
remember when he started speaking? We were in that meeting,
Yes, that's right. That's
and
right.
you got interrupted.
That's
and
right.
you came in, you were screaming.
Yes,
like,
that's
oh my
right,
God,
God.
wow, this.
That's right.
Oh my
These,
God.
That was such
Oh,
a great
what a
moment.
gift.
the therapist had called me and said, Mrs., they called me Mrs. Tunison. My name's Mrs. DeMeglio. I said, yes. They said, your son Robert is speaking. And I just couldn't
Just
believe
a
it.
miracle.
Must
It
have
was
hit
a
the
miracle.
floor on your
I did.
knees.
I did. I actually did hit the floor on my knees. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I did, and I cried.
Oh my gosh.
But then before that, before I met Allyson, I always knew I wanted to do something. I wanted to create something, do something, help people, whatever it was. So I had started a support group, and I met Allyson because her father had gone off a motorcycle at the age of 67 and sustained a brain injury. So together we started more support groups. We became friends instantly, and then she came up with an idea because we found out how difficult it was for people to help. Nobody wanted to help her father. Nobody wanted to help my son because they were so injured because her father was elderly.
Do people sort of say we're gonna kind of give up on you?
They do. All the
You're
time.
brain injured and you're just
All
gonna
the
be in a
time.
vegetative state.
Yep. So get used to it and get on with your life. That's
Wow.
exactly what I was told.
And Kate was so, when I first met her, like so in the box. You know, everything was the rules, the regulations.
Yes.
I was so out of the box.
Absolutely. I met Allyson, and boy, I was out of the box fast, let me tell you. But then she came to me with this idea, and I said, I'm with you all the way. I'm with you 100%. And,
And we, when we first started, we formed a non-for-profit. And then, when we said we wanted to build a building in Medford, we had to face many boards. People had mentioned at one point saying, we don't know if we want those kind of people in our area.
Sure.
So those kind of people are our sons, our fathers, our mothers.
Right.
And when my father, when he was 67, being the high risk taker that he was, well, I'm going to back up a little bit. 20 years ago, my mom was killed in a car accident, and she died of a traumatic brain injury. And at the time, I never even heard what that was. Life went on, was never the same. But when I got the phone call about my father, he was in Florida, no helmet law, and they said he's being wheeled into surgery, and he doesn't look like he's going to make it. So I dropped everything, got on the first plane I could, got out there. He made it through surgery. He was in intensive care, and literally they didn't think he'd pull through the night. That's when they talked about traumatic brain injury, coma. He was on full life support. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. I never left his side. He was 16 weeks in the hospital, but he pulled it through. He had heart surgery, brain surgery, and he had to relearn how to walk and talk. And that's when I realized how seeing my father of great strength, who grew up in this town, who was a prominent builder. Now I'm pushing in a wheelchair. He got his words confused. Friends didn't want to come around.
It makes
was
people
very-
feel uncomfortable. Why does it make people feel uncomfortable? What happens?
A lot of his friends would say, I have a hard time seeing him like this.
They have a hard time seeing, right?
And
But,
it was kind of selfish in a way, really.
what your the heartbreaking story that you've just given us, I would imagine those people that are listening to you right now, watching you right now, they must be jumping out of their chairs to hear what you've done with this.
Right.
I mean, there
Well-
must be people. Where do I go? Without even knowing anymore.
I
So
think we've turned tragedy
Yeah.
into triumph.
Yeah, yeah, tell
Absolutely.
us.
I think that the
Absolutely.
drive and the passion and the mission, and I don't want to call it anger, but walking around with that briefcase trying to not get this. Going with your life, your dad's plateaued, there's nothing more for him. I would drive him to therapies. He went through 66 nurses' aides because he had anger. It was really difficult. He lived with me for 3 years. And now, 5 years later, he's living in Montana. He lives on his ranch. He does have 24-hour help. He's doing a lot of therapy. He's very determined. And he's taught me more with his injury than ever before growing up with him.
That's
he-
interesting, right?
he's
How
really-
that's,
I think it is his religion, his drive. Even with his injury, he taught me a lot about building, permits, businesses. I just took whatever I could and learned. And the great thing is when he came back to see the facility, because we opened 1 year ago, we've helped over a couple of thousand people. We don't turn anyone away. How we work with New Beginnings is your insurance is accepted for all the different modalities: speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, hyperbaric oxygen, day programs, neuropsychologist, chiropractic, acupuncture. Is if insurance runs out or the insurance isn't right, we kick in. We have hardship funds.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I have a question from somebody that, this was from Jackie, who says, my husband suffered from ALS. And it was very difficult because she said, the system seems to abandon you.
Without a doubt.
And she wanted to know, unfortunately her husband has since passed away, but she wanted to know, is New Beginnings insurance driven? Is your center insurance driven? I mean, is that what drives you? Yes or no?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
We take people, like Allyson was saying, we take hardship cases. If they can't pay, then they can't pay. We find a way. We don't turn anybody away. We really do. We are not for profit. None of us get a salary. We are all volunteers. Wow. On the New Beginnings side, the therapists and everything, they take insurances. There are businesses on, they're their own.
So they're their own businesses
yes.
within the
New
building.
Beginnings,
Okay.
and we oversee them now.
Okay.
We oversee everything they do.
Where we get our funds is through grants, private donations, a lot of fundraising. We fundraise that we have 4 to 6 events a year.
Least.
That's really a full-time job.
Wow.
Yes.
What I'm hearing from you guys is that you're really the advocate. Like, you really work
Absolutely.
for the patient.
Absolutely,
Oh, yeah.
definitely.
And you need somebody who's not so bogged with the insurance paperwork and the whole, that just brings you down.
Yes.
Yeah, because when a new, I don't know if you call it a rule but something that's happened with Congressman Gabby Giffords and some changes that are happening now with the war is that brain injury is maintenance, so you never get turned down therapy for life.
Oh.
Because it doesn't go away. It's not like a broken leg where it gets
You
fixed and
always
healed.
have it.
Brain injury is always, you forward, backwards, seizures, behavioral changes.
Exactly.
It's
And there's always room for progress though too. That's the funny catch to it also. There's always, like, look at my son. After 11 years he started to speak again for the first time. So after 5 years, Allyson's dad, he regained a lot of what he had lost. Right. So it depends. Everybody's journey is different, and it's a long-term thing. That's why we're the third step. New Beginnings is the third step.
That third step, okay.
Because you have acute, subacute, and then they tell you plateau. That's it. We can't do it anymore.
Long
That's
term.
when someone's going to come to you.
We are long-term.
When someone hears the words, "There's nothing else we can do," they're gonna go to New Beginnings.
Exactly.
And that's where they're gonna.
Because it's
that's
not
where
true.
the new beginning begins.
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
How many patients can you care for
in a day.
well, in your facility? Yeah.
Well, with all the different departments, a couple of hundred a day.
Yes.
That's
It's-
amazing.
It's getting busier every week.
So each of the modalities, in effect, is a separate business. There are
Yes.
people, and so that those people have their own insurance paperwork and
That's
Yes.
the
right.
business aspect of
Yes.
it. They
Is it
handle.
run like on a 1099? Is that they don't actually work for New Beginnings? They work for themselves. They're
That's right.
independent
That's right.
contractors,
Yes.
but under your
Exactly.
building where you offer the equipment and the room.
We're the host.
And you're the host. I love that.
Wonderful.
That's a very innovative idea. Is that something that's innovative that a lot of
It
health?
has not been done. We're the first of its kind in everywhere.
Ever.
So you're really a model for.
Yes, exactly.
You're amazing.
Wow, that's
That's
incredible.
amazing.
And that's Allyson, and that's her marketing, and that's her passion, and her idea, and her dream. And that was Allyson.
And you're
That's
right there with her.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Now talk about the fundraising efforts. That's a big deal because you need money.
Yeah, and that's it. What really,
Yes, we do.
that's what we did initially.
Yeah.
Is we planned parties and fundraisers. Now we're doing that besides running the center, but that's the fun part.
Yeah, it is the fun part. It really is. We do it, like Allyson said, 4 to 6 times a year. And right now what's coming up March 17th, which is St. Patty's Day, is we're throwing a concert at the West Hampton
Please,
Performing
put it up.
Hearts in West Hampton. It's Colin Ray. Tickets are still on sale.
Yeah.
And please come and join us. It's going to be it's an evening with Colin Ray, and it's going to be awesome. It's for a great cause, and it's also Brain Injury Awareness Month. That's why we're having this. So, if you have any questions, if you want to purchase tickets, I think, let me just see, where do we have to, I don't know.
You can go to PAC.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
you go
you.
right to PAC online, WHBPAC.com, and you can purchase, .org, you can purchase your tickets there, because that's what I did. I bought my tickets. We purchased the VIP package, so we're going to get to meet Colin Ray and Aaron Michaels. I'm really excited about that.
And Aaron Michaels.
Yeah, who wrote
He's
a
our
beautiful
local
song,
guy.
right? Tell about the song that he wrote.
Wait, not only did he write a song, but he just finished a whole album.
Wow, World on Fire
here's
by
your
Aaron
copy.
Michaels. Oh, thank you.
And
That's
he wrote that
awesome.
beautiful song, New Beginnings for New Beginnings, and it's an awesome song.
Oh, I
It really
can't
is.
wait. I'm
He's,
gonna
we
put it
call
on
him the
my
man with the
Facebook.
golden
Yeah.
voice.
Oh my
He's
God, it's
awesome. He's
amazing.
really good. He's a nice young man.
Do
That's
you also
great.
have support for family members of
Glad you
people?
asked.
Because that's
Yes.
important.
Support groups once a month.
Oh,
The first Wednesday of every month.
At 7 p.m. at New Beginnings, 12 Platinum Court in Medford, New York. If you have any questions, you can call 631-286-6166 and ask for Kate.
And you have a website, Kate?
Yes, we do, www.nbli.org.
Okay, I actually will put all of this information
Thank
on my
you.
Facebook, both my Facebook pages. So then this event's coming up. Then you have a future one coming up in May. Something happening in May?
We actually, our next big event is the gala
Oh, you have a gala.
in August.
Okay.
August 16th.
Yes, at the ballroom, the hotel in Riverhead.
Oh,
The
okay,
Hyatt.
the Hyatt, the
Yep.
new hot spot. Everyone's going to the Hyatt.
So
Okay.
we're really and what is the band that you got the band?
Something fresh.
Something fresh. So
Oh,
they're
okay.
going to be playing
good.
there.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
Yes.
Great. So that's really unbelievable.
Yep.
And how's your son is doing?
He's doing very well. He really is. He's funny. He is quite a character. Now he fights with me all the time. Now instead of me just saying things, now he can answer me back and go, "No way, no way, I ain't doing that." And I'm like, "Yeah, all right." And I can't say anything because finally he started talking, so I'm not gonna. But
Right.
he's doing well.
Right.
He really
That's
is. He's
great.
doing well. Thanks for asking.
Aw, I'm
Yeah.
happy to hear that. And how, we were talking earlier about being the caregiver. How do you get through that? How do you do that?
I think with me and Allyson, I think the main thing is to remember is one day at a time, one step at a time. Don't look back and don't look forward. Just take what has been given to you in that day and go with it. Because if you bite off more than you can chew, it's overwhelming as it is. It's overwhelming that the person has sustained a brain injury, that in a way this person has been taken from you, of what you've known. It's completely different. And get support. That's the main thing. Get support. Find a local support group. Come to our support group, because that is the main bulk of it. To know that you're not alone. That there's other people out there that are going through the same thing. That have a loved one that has a brain injury and going through all different types of
Right.
roadblocks and closed doors, open doors, doctors. It's a lot.
I think the caregivers, I think, from seeing both sides, and Kate is a caregiver herself. She takes care of her son. She just got an aide after all these years. And it
That was a
amazes
big step
me.
for you, right?
Yes,
To
it
get
was
a date
big-
was a big step.
It really was. I didn't want to let go.
Do you have other family members? Do you have children? Other
Yes, I
children?
have a daughter and another son.
How were they affected?
They were traumatized. My daughter withdrew, and my other son, because they were almost twins, they were only 2 years and 3 months to the day apart, and it was very devastating. It's still a devastating thing. It really is.
Right.
They did well in school. They didn't
got
really-
through it.
They got through it, but it was very devastating for them. It really
The families,
affected them.
I think the whole family,
Oh,
It's a
the
domino
dynamics
effect.
of the family
it really is.
all
everything that changes at that moment.
And I'll just say one thing funny. It's not funny, but my son, he's been acting out a little bit lately. He's very angry because he realizes now that he's bound to a wheelchair and can't use his hands or whatever, but he can speak. And I just turned to him 2 weeks ago and I said, "Robert, I just need to tell you something." I said, "You're not the only one confined to a wheelchair." I said, "This whole family is." I said, "We love you very, very much, but it's affected all of us."
And this is a big step.
That's a
Especially
big
for
statement
Kate,
to
For me to say
say.
something
Because
like that, I couldn't
Kate
believe
is healing.
But you're right, it's everybody.
Yeah, everybody has to heal.
everybody does
That's
have
why
to heal.
support is so
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
you
Yes.
are
Yes.
giving
It's true.
that to
But
the
like you said
families.
too, it's to hear yourself saying that is so different. But you have to be able. You're human too. You have to be
Yeah.
able to get out your
Yes,
feelings.
exactly. And I think he's at that point now where he needs to hear that too. I think everybody gets to that point.
And honestly, the families, from what I see in the support groups, and we have about 75 to 100 people attending our support group, we started with 3. And
Me, her, and somebody else.
But you know, but it's because it's hard to come out and to make those moves. You know, who wants to go out on a Wednesday night when you're beaten
Exhausted
down?
from taking care of
You
that
are
person all
beaten
day.
down.
right?
You're going to go out and
it's easy to give advice to others. It's hard to take the advice yourself.
Absolutely.
You know, because
Absolutely.
there's 2
Anything.
sides to this. There's the intellectual side. We read, we learn, but the emotional side is way different than the
the
intellectual.
emotional side is so heavy. It's heavy, heavy stuff.
It is heavy stuff.
I give you guys a lot. I am so happy that you came. Really, and you could actually spend another 20 minutes talking because there's so many things. There's so many things to talk about. So you made sure that you have all your information. Give it again. How
Okay.
people can get in touch.
Okay, you can get in touch. You can call us at 631-286-6166 if you need any guidance or any resources, or if you have any questions, and you can ask for Kate or you can ask for Allyson, or you can go on our website, which is www.nbli.org.
That's great. Thank you guys.
you.
I'm just
Thank
going to
you
shove
so much.
over
Okay.
for 1 second.
Yes,
Get
come
them.
over.
I am so happy that I had the show tonight. I learned so much from my guest, Jay Kopf, who's going to be developing Speonk Commons, and Allyson, Scerri. Thank you. New Beginnings, and Kate. You guys were terrific.
Thank you.
See, tragedy into something amazing.
Triumph.
You know,
Tragedy
really,
into
tragedy into triumph. It's really a true story. There are gifts. There are gifts along the way. And it's a hard way to get them, but there's something good that can come out of something
Life
bad.
after injury.
But thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you next week on Around the Beach with Lisa Fox.
We love you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.